on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is showing up. And that's like engaging in the game of life kind of thing. So we get to talk about what that looks like and how it can feel. But before we do that, let's just take a minute to settle in and get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and imagine sparkling, clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs and flooding your bloodstream and nourishing your cells and all your organs and bringing vitality and life into every portion of your body. And as you exhale, maybe roll your shoulders and relax the tension that might be in your body. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, in this time, imagine sparkling white light coursing into every molecule of your being, lighting you up. And all those electrons and all that energy exchanging with the world around you and connecting you to everything and everyone. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension. And let's just now gently press our palms together and really softly tickle your palms with your fingers. Just feel that light, delicious sensation and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so delighted to have you here with me this morning and to be here with you. Let's talk about showing up. So, we all experience the ups and downs of life, and there's there's merit to just continuing to put one foot in front of the other and showing up without without expectation, maybe with intention rather than expectation. The topic for today came from me just sort of thinking about what today's topic was and not really having an idea of what it was going to be. And what came to my mind was, hey, just show up and see what happens and see what magic we can create. And I I think that there is a key in there to being able to show up for the adventure of life, without knowing, despite any kind of fear or doubt or concern, to show up and participate in life and allow the magic to unfold, because it's often when we least expect it that the most miraculous, remarkable things and circumstances and opportunities present themselves. So the key to this showing up thing is being present, being awake, being in responsive readiness, or ready responsiveness, and being willing to play with the mystery of life as it unfolds. So I'm wondering if you have experiences where you went into a circumstance you really had no expectation or idea of what was going to happen, and wonderful, amazing things just sort of arose, or opportunities, or an incredible conversation, or just simple delights that that you really hadn't anticipated. I think as we open ourselves with an intention, not rather than an expectation, but with an intention of joy or opening or adventure or special experience, what we're doing is we're tuning ourselves to be able to recognize it. And I think that there are so many opportunities in life that we may miss due to our fixed focus. And by walking into a situation with open heart and open mind, we we kind of prime the pump for that kind of experience. So setting an intention, like it's morning here right now, so setting an intention for the day, like what am I looking to create today? What's my intention to find, to have many opportunities for delight today, or to connect with the lightness of my heart, or to connect with someone that I love that I haven't been in contact with for a while. So there are all kinds of intentions that we can set that are positive intentions. And in fact, when uh, when we're not being alert to our intentions, when we don't have attention on our intentions, it can be a matter of habit to kind of set negative expectations or negative intentions for the day. Like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Oh my gosh, it's too much. I'm overwhelmed. So and we've talked about this a gazillion times, but by our internal conversation, we get to set the stage for our experiences. And even if you're going into a circumstance that you're maybe not all that excited about, maybe you can intentionally put some attention on how you would like to feel, or what kind of experience, what kind of outcome you are intending. And when we look at the outcome that we're intending, I'm not necessarily talking about um, the mechanics of something, like how the mechanics unfold, but the feeling intention. And what I mean by that is we we want to orient ourselves to creating our experience from the inside out, from beingness rather than doingness. And I know I've spoken about this before too, but it warrants repeating again and again and again because it's such a new paradigm. But to have the intention of communication, of connection, to have an intention of connection when you're going into a meeting, for instance, rather than saying, well, this is the outcome I want, this is how I want it to be. To have an intention of connection, and the what's available from that intention is potentially an outcome that you hadn't even imagined, that's even better than anything you could have imagined. So this is all part of showing up in life. Like, let's play, let's engage, let's be present to life, and show up for ourselves, show up for the people that we're engaged with in our lives. And it doesn't we can show up without knowing. We can show up and be aware of our fear or our doubt. We can show up however we are, and and be present to that, and present to the opportunity of the moment. So I'm wondering if you have any particular instances where you can source a story around showing up without knowing. I know that in the context of some of the group engagements that I've had with my clients, people show up as they are in that moment. And sometimes it feels really messy for folks. And sometimes they feel, they're in not the most resourceful place, but they show up. And as a result of showing up, just the act of bringing themselves present with the rest of the group, they get a tremendous shift in their experience, because there's an outpouring of support and affection, and it lights people up. So typically when people show up in not the most resourceful place, they end up feeling better because they they showed up, so they kind of pulled themselves out of that moment of isolation and allowed themselves to receive the support and the the love from others. So they showed up as they were, instead of putting on a pretense, instead of um, trying to trying to be something that they weren't. They showed up. They showed up as themselves authentically, and it takes courage. It takes courage to to be vulnerable enough to show what's going on for you, or to share what's going on for you. And that's not to say that there are not more and less appropriate times and places and ways to do that. We want to be able to calibrate to our environment appropriately. But it's really interesting to look at. I was talking with another client actually yesterday, who was saying how they had spent quite a lot of their lives self-censoring, and noticed how other people around them really don't. And I've noticed too how some people seem to be just really, really free in their self-expression. And that was something that, or is something that I really I respect so much in people. And I'm kind of awed by it myself. This is I'm coming into greater and greater self-expression, but in terms of play or being goofy or silly, or I grew up in an environment where I really needed to, or I believed I needed to be very self-monitoring, very careful, because I didn't know what the response would be to me. It was like I couldn't really rely growing up on knowing that things would be okay in response to whatever I said or did. And so I became very careful, very cautious around that. And I I know other people who are just so beautifully self-expressed, so really truly delightfully silly and fun and carefree, apparently on the outside, looking from the outside in. And those people are just showing up unabashedly. And I think for for people like myself, that's an evolutionary process, to get to the place of being able to just be, without the constant monitoring and even just remnants of concern for how people might respond, like always calibrating to the environment. So we're talking about showing up in all different ways that people do that. And hello, Hope. I'm so glad you chimed in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm talking about showing up, and I'm wondering what that looks like for you, like showing up in your life when maybe when things are going great or when things aren't going great, when you're not sure about how things are going to transpire, to keep showing up. And hi, Isabel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to have you guys here. Uh, we're talking about showing up in the world, showing up in life. And what does that look like for you? And when you felt like you really didn't want to show up, like maybe you decided you just sort of wanted to retreat and you decided to show up anyway, what did that look like? What kind of magic happened for you as a result of that? I'm wondering if you have situations like that. Like maybe there's a social gathering and you think, I don't know, but you decide to show up anyway, and it turned out to be delightful and surprising, and opportunities opened up for you. Typically, typically, as far as showing up in circumstances that I have a gut feeling about, I honor my gut, and maybe that's part of showing up too, showing up for yourself when you honor your gut and uh, really listen to your inner guidance about circumstances that present themselves, opportunities that present themselves, people um, that present themselves in your world. So honoring your gut is maybe another big part of showing up for yourself. But I think what I'm moving toward here in this conversation is really authenticity and being willing to play as yourself in the world, uh, rather than um, trying to shape yourself into a mold of something or someone um, that isn't authentically you. So being willing to show up for yourself by the integrity, and by integrity I mean like the integrity of your being with your self-expression, and the way that you interact. And in other words, giving yourself permission to really be you in your life. And so, do you guys have any opinions or take on what this whole conversation is about showing up? Because I think as we give ourselves permission to be who we are, then that is a declaration of self love, first of all, and self acceptance. And as we move into greater self love and self acceptance, then by nature, more authentic relationships arise, more um, authentic communication, more joyful experience of life arises. So Hope says, and thank you for saying something here, Hope. Hope says, I used to show up at certain functions I didn't want to attend, not following my gut feeling. Now I only show up when I feel it is of my higher good, or being able to show up as myself. Absolutely. That's it. I'm in 1,000% agreement with you, Hope. First of all, honor your gut, because that's showing up for yourself. And then knowing that you're giving yourself permission and honoring yourself enough to show up as yourself. And I think that the more we become self expressed in our lives and in the world, the better the world is going to be. Instead of trying to operate under pretense. I always found it, I'm a very literal person. And I always found it so confusing to try and navigate social environments where people didn't speak authentically, where people would say something and mean another, or where people would act nice when they didn't like you, or would, um, where you couldn't really tell what was going on because people were putting up all kinds of smoke screens. And I used to find it tremendously difficult to know how to navigate that weird um, environment. And now I don't put myself in those environments really anymore. And um, so Hope says also allowing ourselves to express ourselves as who we are. Absolutely. Expressing ourselves as who we are is showing up as ourselves, is showing up for ourselves and honoring who we are. Really, really an important thing. And there are consequences to that, and when you show up as yourself, sometimes there are going to be people that don't like you. Oh, Danette, thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying this discussion. Really, I appreciate that. That's awesome. But so what happens if we show up as ourselves and somebody doesn't like us? Well, that's good information for us, right? That's a good key to say, okay, well, that's not our people. If I'm showing up authentically and that person doesn't like me, then that's a good person for me not to try to have a friendship with. I mean, I don't need to convince people to like me, right? And you collectively, we don't need to convince people to like us. It's not everybody likes chocolate. Not everybody likes strawberry. So that's fine. And the truth is that there are going to be people that you don't resonate with as well. We don't need to have everybody in the world like us. In fact, the likelihood is that if you are authentically yourself, there are going to be people that just don't resonate with that. And that's 100% fine. We're all at different places. We don't need to take it personally. Hope says yes, it weeds out who is who. In other words, who is for us and who is not, right? And we don't have to take it personally, which is the interesting thing, right? Just because somebody doesn't like us doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us. If somebody doesn't like us, it just means that they don't like chocolate or strawberry. It's not about you. They don't really know you. So Dido says, as a highly sensitive introvert who dislikes shallow small talk, I've not liked showing up for various functions either. It helps to know that about myself and not make myself wrong. I don't like chocolate either. Well, I agree with you 100%, Dido. I'm actually believe nobody's going to believe me, but I am also a highly sensitive introvert. I am, and which is interesting because there's got to be another name for the fact that I'm willing to, to be here every morning and talk to you guys. And I do engage, really appreciate certain social interaction. And I love getting to know different people, but I consider myself an introvert too. And certain social functions are just like really overwhelming and difficult to navigate for me as well. And I agree with you. It's really important to know who you are and to be respectful, to show up for yourself and not make yourself wrong for not putting yourself in those situations that are so deeply uncomfortable. And Danette says, yes, I'm starting to let go of what people think of me. I'm always worried I'm not liked. So this makes so much sense to me. I'm thrilled to hear that, Danette, because it doesn't matter that, some people don't like you. It's okay. It's 100% okay. And as long as you, like recognizing that you are worthy just by yourself, whether other people like you or not. That's their opinion. That's their stuff. It's not about you. So you get to appreciate yourself and not try to make everybody like you. And Isabel says, I grew up as I couldn't be myself, always got me in trouble, but finally past few years working on it. That's awesome, Isabel, to give yourself permission to be yourself. So we're all different flavors, right? And so being all different flavors, we get to appreciate that about ourselves and find the flavors we like and leave the flavors we don't on the table, right? And it's not personal. And so Hope says, I also think if they're not on the same vibration as you, you'll not understand each other. And Hope says, I can take chocolate or leave it. So, yeah, I think really what it's coming down to when we talk about liking people or not liking people or people not liking us, you nailed it, Hope. It really is about vibration and frequency. And not all notes make a perfect symphony when combined together, right? And so we are attracted to people that we resonate with and repelled by people that we don't. And likewise, other people with us. And it's not personal, like vibration's vibration. It's not good or bad. It's just different. And so showing up for ourselves is where we get to show up first, and taking ownership of who we are and honoring that. And um, what we do get to do is, if we're feeling stuck in that, we get to look at how to shift it. But that also we can precipitate a shift out of love and appreciation rather than judgment and and violence, or hostility to ourselves. So we can look to grow and evolve out of love and appreciation. And I think that that's a way to show up for ourselves, and also recognize that there's even more available to us in our authentic expression. So, well, this has been fun, and see, this came out of me having no clue what to talk about today, and just showing up. So, I so appreciate you guys engaging in the conversation, and um, I just want to say thank you so much, because it's really rewarding to me to have these interactions with you. It lights up my day, and I am just very, very grateful. So, with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live on the Facebook page of Enlightened World Network every day at 9 a.m. Eastern, and every weekday. And I invite you. Hope says, thanks for showing up. Thank you, Hope. Thank you so much. Oh my. And I love that you guys show up. So I encourage you to check out the other great programming on Enlightened World Network. And I really do deeply look forward to seeing you again soon. Lots and lots of love.